Hey everybody, how's it going? It's the Daily Shooter, and today we're going to be talking about Second Amendment burnout. This is a real thing. This is when people just find it too stressful to try and keep up the fight to maintain their Second Amendment rights. I've talked to people as recently as a week ago who were just kind of out of it. They just stopped enjoying the Second Amendment and everything that comes with it altogether because they got burned out. It seemed like every single time that we would have some type of small victory, there'd be 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 more things that we'd have to fight after that. And they just couldn't take it anymore. So they moved on to a different hobby because it was just too stressful for them. Now, I don't fault them for that. It is a lot of stress, especially if you're somebody who's kind of new to this and, you want to fight for your Second Amendment rights. You want there to be freedom and independence and all of those values that make this country great. And then you find pretty much at every single turn, there's somebody who's trying to take that away from you again. And it does become a little bit overwhelming for some people, and so they just kind of move on from it. And I want to talk about that today, how you can avoid Second Amendment burnout. So for me personally, I've been in the 2A fight for about 16 years. It's not been my whole life. It's been a majority of my adult life. But, I used to go out when I was a kid with my brothers and my dad, and we would destroy 2-liters and watermelons and whatever else we could find and just have a good time. As an adult, it became a much more intense hobby where it was really something that I was into. And, when you really start getting into it, especially when you're kind of new to getting into it as an adult, you start realizing there's a lot of people out there that want to take that away from you. You grow up thinking that it's a free country, and then once you're an adult, you find out that people are trying to make it not so free anymore, and so you want to do something about it. And that's when I started really becoming an advocate for the Second Amendment. It was about 16 years ago, donating to different groups, going to different rallies, trying to show my support in whatever way I could. And it's definitely a tough road to travel. It's not the easiest hobby to have. It's definitely not the easiest amendment to support. There's people out there who will call you just about everything just for supporting the Second Amendment, and it does wear on people. But here is one way that you can get around that, and this is kind of something that I've learned over time, because there have been times where I felt that burn. I felt burned out. Every time you get a little bit of a victory, you kind of get knocked back down again, and then you have to fight the next battle, and it's just always a constant battle. One thing that you have to remember, especially when it comes to the Second Amendment, is that's not going to change, okay? It's always going to be a constant battle. There will always be people who do not hold the same beliefs as you. Those people are going to try to get into power. Some of those people have a bunch of money and they don't even need to have, a seat in Congress. They just have enough money to try and make some type of influence that could change things for this country and can change things, constitutionally. So, the fight will never be over. If you get into this thinking that, if we fight and fight and fight, eventually we'll win, that's probably not the case. Unless we have solid, concrete Supreme Court rulings on every single little thing we fight about, unless that happens, then it's just going to be battle after battle. Knowing that is the first step. Knowing that once you get into the fight for your Second Amendment rights, you're going to push for those rights for the rest of your life. You have an understanding of this is not an ending battle. So it's a non-stop thing where I have dedicated my life to making sure that not only do I have my Second Amendment rights, but my children and my grandchildren do as well, and they can grow up in a country that I want them to grow up in. So there's that. The next thing is try and take some of the weight off your shoulders. I know I get so many emails from people who say, "What can I do? Okay, I'm kind of new to the Second Amendment. I just got my first this, just got my first that, and I really want to start." Being proactive and fighting back against all these new laws, rules, and regulations that are coming out of the government, both on the state and local level, and even on a city level, to be honest with you. What can I do? Well, here's the thing. You want to take a lot of that stress off your back, because what you can do is somewhat minimal, right? We're individuals. Together as a group, we obviously have a very big voice, but we need to rely on people who have the know-how and the means to do things on our behalf. And that's why I push for, the FPC and the GOA and these different groups that are out there fighting on our behalf, because that's exactly what they're doing. Most of us are not lawyers, okay? Most of us don't even have a basic understanding of what these legal terms are in these different documents that are proposed in Congress and in other places, right? We look at them, we read it, we have a vague understanding, but, there's all this legal mumbo jumbo, and we wouldn't know what what to do if we ended up in court with that stuff, right? We would just say, hey, it's our rights. It says it, shall not be infringed. What don't you understand about shall not be infringed? To me, that's the end of the argument, right? Every single law that they create is an infringement. So for me, that's kind of where I stand. Every law is an infringement. If you make a new law and in some way it goes against the Second Amendment, then that's an infringement. That's where it should end. And I would think that every judge would understand that, but that's just not the way that works. It's just not the way it works in the real world. So we have to basically take that weight off of our shoulders and throw our support behind those people that support us in court. So when I say, support the FPC, right? What you're doing is you're putting your weight and your value in terms of money. And yeah, it comes down to money. These court cases are really expensive to fight, right? They have to go to court. They have to have the lawyers. People are on payroll. They, still have to feed their families and keep a roof over their head. And, things take money. All these filings, everything they do. Everything that they do takes money. So that's what I mean is if you are unable to go to rallies or you're unable to do the things that you want to do, you're unable to get the effect out of your advocacy that you want, it's easier to have a larger group that's already established do it for you. That's doing something. Some people say, well, I'm already a member of GOA. I'm already a member of FPC. I'm already a member of the NRA. What else can I do? That's actually good enough. I know there's some people out there that don't think that it's good enough, but to be honest with you, if that's all you did, that's good enough because they're the ones that are in court. They're the ones that are fighting back. They're the ones that are, writing letters and getting things done on appeal and getting stuff up to the Supreme Court for that higher court ruling. They're the ones that are doing all of the things that we need to do to fight back, but they're doing it in a way that actually makes sense and is more efficient. Once you get that stress, once you realize the fight is never going to end, and that you as an individual, even if you go to a rally, aren't really going to accomplish that much. And I know people get mad about that. They're like, yeah, but if you're at a rally, people, they hear you, your voice is being heard. Sure, totally, I agree. I'm 100% for rallies. Understand that a lot of times the media is just going to skew those rallies and try and make you look bad to begin with. So what do? You get them where it counts. You get them in court, you get them in the wallet. You do what you can to not support people who are supporting the things that are taking away our freedoms, and you do the things that support the groups that are trying to preserve our freedoms. That's pretty much it. You spend your money at places that are pro-2A, you spend your money at places that are supporting the 2A. That's a great way to go about protecting it. So if I can take the stress off of my back and say, here's some money. I got an extra $100 this month. I'm going to put that towards it. And, 10,000 other people do the same thing. And that money goes towards, let's say, stopping the ATF from creating a new rule on, different parts that's really just a block of steel. If that goes to fight that, you played your part in that. And that's going to take a lot of the stress away. You're doing your part. You don't need to wake up every single day and worry about, what's happening now. And I have to get on and I have to understand everything all the time. It's too much. There's state and local levels. There are federal things that are coming through, and it'll make your head spin. It's easier to watch channels that will break things down for you, right? I try and do that in my videos. Guns and Gadget tries to do that in his videos, and so many other great YouTube channels out there try and break these things down for you, or at least pick out the important stuff that is going to have the biggest effect on you personally, and then we try and get that out so you understand what's going on around you without having to kind of dive through everything and go to Congress, .gov and search for things and try and have an understanding of where things sit. So there's a lot of resources out there for you to get your information and information that's going to be relevant to you without you having to freak out about it. There's no reason to get so stressed that you basically give up everything, that you sell your stuff, you're done with it, you're done with the fight, you're not dealing with it anymore, it's just too much, I give up. There's people out there, and quite a few people out there like that right now, who are feeling that fatigue, and it's just not necessary. Again, the fight's never going to stop. We're always going to be fighting people like this, okay, and trying to maintain our rights in this country. And at the same time, there's always going to be groups and advocates on our side that are going to help us out with that. So take the stress off your back. Stop worrying about it so much. Just do what you can do, and then we'll take it as it goes. That's my advice to you. It's the best way to avoid that burnout and lose what is essentially not only a great freedom, a great responsibility, but also just a ton of fun. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes people forget that what we do here is also a good time. It's a good time with family. It's a good time with friends. It's getting outdoors. It's getting in that sunlight. It's going out there and trying to improve on yourself on a personal level and your skill. There's a lot to it other than just, the defensive side of things. Obviously, that's the most important side of what we do, but there's other things to consider as well. Don't give up the fun. Anyway, wanted to make that video today. It seems to be a thing, especially with what's going on with people these days and getting inside their head a little bit too much. So I wanted to just let that be known. I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. Have a great day.